Okay, so let's just go through the basics, but you know the basics, but I'll just cover that for the sake of being complete. So we had all the industrial revolutions. We had the first industrial revolution, steam power changed life. Then the second industrial revolution, where we got electricity. Then the third industrial revolution, where digital logic circuits started changing life. We got interesting things like the personal computer, email, CNC machines. And as you know, that's where the majority of the industry is at the moment. And after that, we're getting the fourth industrial revolution, where there's a lot of new technologies coming in. It's automation, artificial intelligence, nanotechnology, biotechnology, all of those things, and the agile mode of operation. So things are changing, and we should accept a different way of working. Now, where are we in all of these? Let's just go give an example. So we had Adidas. Adidas started in 1924 making shoes in Germany. It was two brothers. They started from their mother's laundry making the shoes. And it's an interesting story. I won't go through that. You can read up on that. But the two brothers started up, and they eventually split up due to the Nazis. The one was supporting the Nazis more than the other one. And the two old guys never reconciled. But Adidas' brother died in 1980 something, and the company got taken over by a corporation. As corporations tend to do, they wanted to optimize. And they sent manufacturing to China and Indonesia. They were running a few sweatshops there as well. But then 2, 3, 4 years ago, things changed. They moved manufacturing back to Germany, and they started what they call the speed factory. And in the speed factory, labor cost is not a driving force anymore, because now they're dealing with a tenth of the labor force that they were before. And they started up another speed factory in Germany as well. So there's actually two speed factories, one in Europe and one in Germany. And they're 3 times faster to market. That's just a bit of a motivation of why we all need to go to Industry 4.0. Right, but now let's go back to where are we at the moment. We are basically, as far as document management concerned, most of the customers are still in the third industrial revolution. People aren't really managing their documents as they should. Of course, mainly, we haven't really got decent software to do that with. So most companies, if you look at their way of managing documents, they would have some system in place, hopefully not as bulk orientated as that, but still primitive. A lot of them will have approved manufacturing approved processes and systems in place, but still managing documents is a challenge, and it's like looking for a needle in a haystack very often. But to get back to engineering, to go to the more serious scenario, let's say you're a supplier and you're making a part for an aerospace company. And you got that part. It's a nice aluminium billet. It's molded from a solid piece of aluminium. It's going to take you hours to machine. And you optimize it. You optimize the toolpath, generate the toolpath. You get all the processes. You get a gleaming part, no polishing required, perfect part out. And you send it to your customer. Comes back and they say, yeah, but what are those holes doing there? Go back, you look through your directories and you find, there's another part with no holes in it. And go back to your supplier and they say, no, but they've got another file. In the meantime, you've spent all your resources, you've manufactured, you spend a lot of money, you spend a lot of time, resources, and you can even lose that customer just because of one file that was wrong. And that's the motivation for document management. If you look at that same scenario, you should really change the way you think about documents. Documents is not just pieces of paper. They're like small gears in a machine. That machine, your machine in the workshop is turning due to those little gears. And all of those little gears are supposed to turn the big wheel, the CNC machine. If that's standing still, there's no production. That's where your big capex is lying. So you should get that big machine, you should oil all those wheels, you should get them unstuck. You should start manufacturing, get the machine to operate optimally. And traceability, that's one of the things you can get with proper document management. For example, that part that we made before. Why was that part wrong? Where did the mistake happen? And you want to stop that. You want to see what the source of the mistake was, and you want to correct it. So you need traceability. Then you need change control. That's probably what happened with that part. There was proper change control. The customer changed the part and nobody told him about it. Also need communication. It may have been that the part was changed and the change control was applied, but nobody in the company, not everybody in the company knew that there was a new file to make. Finding information, perhaps they couldn't find the new drawing or the new 3D model. And it's also making information available. So it's not just finding it, but getting information. It may be on somebody's hard drive somewhere, or maybe in an email. That's where unlocking information is coming from. There's a lot of information that we've got is actually in emails. So it's sitting somewhere in Outlook and nobody knows about it. So you need to unlock that, or it's sitting in a spreadsheet somewhere. When the guy did the quote, he got all the figures in his spreadsheet, but nobody gets it. So it's a lot of things. It may be there. You must find information, you must make it available, and you must unlock information. And one of the big important things is must be one single source of the truth, because you can't have 5 different files, similar files, but different on your hard drive, on your server. If you save in the server, it's fine. At least they're being backed up, but it may be that everybody is making copies and you've got 5 different files lying somewhere on the server. And of course, if you also do that, you also become more compliant to ISO 9000 and AS 900, because all of those things are about control. So you basically need control. And managing your documents, you get control over your company. Now let's look at PLM. So how do you do document management? You can do it with a PLM system. That stands for Product Lifecycle Management. That's basically, if you look at the word, it's a product, it's your product. You look at the life of the product, that's from concept until in service and until obsolescence. And it's the cycle, it's all the change processes in your company. So you've basically got different cycles, as change cycles, that's manufacturing cycles. It's all the different cycles and you need to manage that. So that's what it's about, to do a product, to manage a product through its whole life cycle. Now there's 2 concepts in PLM. The one is a digital twin that I'll discuss. The other one is a digital thread. Let's look at digital twin. Now that is what the big aerospace companies are doing. That's a Boeing, that's an Airbus, sorry, Airbus A400M. That's a digital model of that Airbus. And that's the way Boeing is designing their aircraft. They're actually building little CAD models of that. And it's a whole virtual aircraft, and they can switch it to the single parts, they can change the configuration, they can do everything about that. And each of those little CAD parts in there consists, is a digital twin. It's a digital twin of the part. So that's a little machine part. And the one aspect of the digital twin is the CAD model. Then you've got the engineering, the analysis documents, you've got the bill of material, the drawing, whatever other information is managing that document. All of those documents together, they form the digital twin. So you've got a virtual part basically, but it's consisting of documents. And that's why it's important to manage your documents. Now let's look at a scenario. Let's say you're a manufacturing house and you need to manufacture that part. Let's say you're working for Aerosud and you're an Aerosud supplier. So you're getting, there's the Aerosud, there's their part, and there's the final part that they want. And they want that plus a PPA inspection report. Then the whole process would be, you get a request for quote, you do a quote, you get the order, and you get the manufacturing data. Then you do your planning on MS project or whatever else. Then you create a lot of downstream data, your toolpaths, your CM data, etc. You generate that. And from that generated data, you create a data pack. And that data pack you send through to the workshop, through to the stores. Everybody needs to know what to make. And then that digital information gets sent to production, the CNC machine, the CMM machine, tooling management. I need to give you the right tool. And the machine maintenance, I've just thrown that in because that's another bit of the puzzle. And all of that is defined and managed by the ERP system that you've got. But okay, that's the basic, a simple process. Now let's go back and just highlight some points to you. Let's go back to your derived data. What you're actually doing there, oh, well, to your planning. Let's go to planning. you're actually doing a digital twin of the planning. So you're using MS Project or whatever. So it's actually a digital twin of your planning process. And then once you've done your planning, you create a digital twin of all the manufacturing information. So that may be your CNC toolpath, setup sheet, all the information that you need to manage your downstream data with. All of those things is a digital twin of the manufacturing process. Then you create a digital twin of the data pack. Some companies still have that as a paper environment, but it should be electronic. The stores got some software managing the stores, or the material in the stores. So you've got a virtual store somewhere. The CNN machine is also a source of data. There's a lot of information you can extract from that, like the power that you use to cut it with, the cutting time, etc., etc. The CMM data generates digital data. You've got some software like a spreadsheet that's managing your tooling, and you've got a spreadsheet or some software that's managing your machine maintenance. And on top of that, you've got your ERP system, which is trying to manage or managing some of that, managing your manufacturing processes. But what you need, you see, you've actually got silos there. You've got 5, 6, 7 different silos in your company, each of them generating data or being done electronically. And a PLM system will take all of that data and it will manage it. So it's different from an ERP system. An ERP system is transaction-based, but a PLM system manages information and it tracks the life cycle, the changes in that, and get feedback and get communication going in your company. And that's the idea. So once you've got all of those little data silos, you've actually got a digital facility. Your whole factory could be digital, and you could use all the other nice things of the Industry 4.0 to feed back into that PLM system. And then you can start having dashboards and you can start analyzing your data. And you can also start communicating with your suppliers. You can pull directly or push data directly to them. And that's basically what I would call it, a digital facility. So you've got your derived data, which is the digital part, and you've got your digital facility. So that's at the end of the day, that could be your company. And what that gives you, that whole scenario that we're talking about, gives you control. That's what it's all about, just to give you control about your company. And all of those little bits there can be from different parts of the whole Industry 4.0 bit, but you're then in control of your company, basically. Now, the other concept that I want to mention is the digital thread. So there's that virtual factory, your digital facility that you've got. And as you're making a part, that part actually moves through your facility. So some or other, you get the files from the customer, goes through the quotation process, the data, the CMM, then it gets changed and goes back, and you get your final part. Now that path that the part is following is actually a digital twin, a digital thread, sorry. So you've got the thread. As the part goes through there, you can track it. And that's got two components to it. The first thing is you can actually see where any part is at any moment in the factory. And the other part is you can trace it. You can optimize it. So you can see where did it spend the most time and what the whole history of that part is. So that's the two concepts that I want to highlight here, the two PLM concepts. The one is the digital, just go there, the digital twin of the part. That means you've got all information in one place on your part. And that will give you full kit launch. So whenever you send a part from manufacturing, you can make sure that you've got all the information. And you've got the right information, so you'll make the right part the first time. Means less scrap. Oh, there's a lot of other advantages, but that's just some of the basic ones. Then your digital facility, that's a whole electronic factory that you've got. Gives you control, that's in one word. And you can optimize it. So you can see where you can tune your facility and optimize it. Because you can start getting metrics out of it. And the digital thread, that does basically the same, but it gives you traceability of your parts and it gives you optimization. So all of those things can give you metrics, and you can get basically a dashboard, etc. So right, so hopefully I've convinced you need a PLM system. Now, what PLM systems are there on the market? There's basically two types of PLM systems. You get the high-end and you get the entry-level PLM systems. The high-end is programs like Teamcenter, 3D Experience from Dassault, Windchill, SAP has got a product. They've got huge functionality. It's really massive products, very customizable, but it takes long to implement and it tends to be complex. That's a fine match for a company like Airbus and at a bigger company. Then you've got the entry-level products that some of you may have. That's like Autodesk Fusion or Autodesk Vault, SolidWorks, and there's various cloud-based systems. Now, they are easy to implement. Some of them you can just create a username on the internet and you can start using it. But they've got limited functionality. And they're not very customizable. It's basically what you have, what you get is what you have. What you have is what you get. And there's very little local expertise. So mainly you're on your own with that. You can go for it, you can create a user ID, you can log into it, but you need somebody to hold your hand. With the high-end systems, they've got consultants and they will take you along the road. So to summarize those two, the high-end systems is a serious commitment. So you'll have to sign up for a few years and it'll also take you a few years to pay it off. In the entry-level systems, it doesn't deliver. It's basically, it's easy to get started, but you can't use it. It's nice in a design office, but once you want to move out of the design office, it starts losing capability and you start reaching the end of that capability. So in between is a bit of a gap. You've got the high end, you've got the low end, and there's nothing, well, there's a bit in between. And that's what I found recently is ARAS Innovator. That is actually a high-end system. It is used by Airbus and the likes. Airbus has got 30,000 seats of it, and it's fully customizable, but it's a low startup cost. It's a monthly fee. You don't need to invest in a big capex. And it lends itself to a quick and agile implementation, which is good with Industry 4.0. That means you can do it in small steps. We call it sprints. So you do a small sprint. The first sprint would probably put document management in, and the second step, and you progress. As it's working, you go for the next step, and you can stop at any step, and each of those should be standalone. And there's PLM expertise, and that's where we come in. So we will be able to offer you some PLM expertise and hold your hand through the process. So if I say we, I'm talking about Aerosud OCTi. You may have heard and Riaan talk about it. We're the business systems division of Aerosud, and we've got a lot of skills in-house. And one of the skills that we've got is product lifecycle management. So we're running an internal PLM system. At the moment, we're running a system called Smart Team, but we're slowly going to start converting into ARAS. And that's where ARAS comes into it. So our plan is to start using it and applying it to our suppliers. So I've seen that there's a gap in the market for the smaller companies to have a PLM system. And it can actually be downloaded for free. So there's two subscription models for ARAS. The one is a free one, but with no support. And the other one is a subscription model with international support. But it's still a high-end system. Don't get confused. Don't get Airbus is using it across the enterprise for the structural testing division. And so ARAS is deriving the income from these big companies. And the smaller companies like us is too small for them. They want to have big implementations. And that's why they made ARAS free for the smaller companies. But the problem is the smaller companies doesn't know what to do with it. And it's also not a complete solution. And that's what I'm busy doing at the moment. I'm busy creating a complete solution. So I'm adding a lot of bits into ARAS that makes it more usable, the free version. So it's free, the software is free, but we will be giving consultancy and services to help a company implement that. There's also an option for us to host it on our systems, on our servers. It's very flexible, so whatever will suit you, we will have a look at doing. Right, that's a bit of advertising, but let's go back to PLM in general. So that would be the road to a complete digital enterprise like that. That's where you want to be. And it could be a plant, it could be a CNC machine shop, it could be a factory, whatever. You want a digital environment with where you can pull live metrics, live dashboards, and you want to have full control over your company. So what the steps are, what I would recommend the step should be, is first put document management into it. That's just a screenshot of the interface that I'm busy developing here for document management. So first step is just get your documents under control. Then once you've got that, you should start looking at putting a digital twin of your parts in. So you capture all of those documents and capture it, put it into the part, and start seeing that as an entity. So it's a digital twin entity composed of a lot of documents. And from there on, ARAS includes project management, so you can manage your projects in there. And it's got Gantt charts, etc., all of that. Another interesting bit is process planning. So your manufacturing processes you can plan in there. The nice thing about a system like this is you can manage all your entities. You can manage your resources, you can manage your skills, you can manage your CNC machines, you can manage your tools. Everything you create as an entity in ARAS. And you can use all those entities to do project management and process planning. So it's a bit of a journey. It can do quality management. It's got a built-in quality management system where you can track your risks and you can track all the different types of quality documents. Then change processes is obviously included in most PLM systems. You can have an approval process, a change process. Then you can start adding customization on top of that, because of course you've got all of that information already in there. You can start automating it and adding lots of different functionalities, building blocks in there. And of course, the top one is you can start with reporting and dashboarding. So once you've got all of that information in there, you can pull data from whatever sensors and whatever sources you've got. All right, that's basically it. So it was a bit of a rush, but any questions?
Riaan?
Yes.
It's Raymond here. Just a question on where the point of integration is to an ERP system.
ERP system tends to be more transaction-based system. So it's made to quickly send the data through and to track the data, manufacturing data, to track your stores, to track your finances, and to track your production, basically. So it's a transaction-based system. A PLM system is more information type system, but there are overlaps between the two. For example, bill of material management can be done to a certain extent in a PLM system, certain extent in the ERP system. The ideal would be that the two read from each other.
Well, engineering release for manufacture obviously being probably the crucial aspect of it.
Yes. Yeah. Well, to go back to that process planning bit, sorry, I wanted to go to that slide. It would be that you would first launch that, you would do your process planning, and once you've got that process, the whole manufacturing process, you would then launch it into the ERP system. Okay. And you say there's the full pack of information. But that would include not only the design offer, so it's manufacturing information, it's your, well, your process steps.
Yeah.
And by the way, interesting enough, this thing has also got the capability of creating works instructions. It's actually a very nice interface. I don't know, okay, do you see my cursor on the screen or not? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
Okay. The way it's basically working, you've got your bill of material at the bottom there, and that you can import from your CAD system. And you can go through that. You can select that part. You can use the drop down. You say, right, we want to look at the parts. You drag and drop your part up to the process at the top. Of course, the first step would be to create your process. You say, right, this is an assembly instruction. Sorry, the resolution is not very good on this picture. But that's an assembly operation. So you create the assembly operation, then you take the part and you drag and drop the part into that assembly operation. Then you go down and you go to tasks. You can have a library of tasks there, and that will show all the tasks in the screen down there. You select it there and you drag and drop it into your process. Then you go down and you go for the tooling or the skills or whatever resources you need for the manufacturing process. You can drag and drop in there. And while you're doing that, you can actually compose your works instruction on that side. And you can add extra graphics, you can add tables, text, skills, whatever additional you need. And that would create electronic works instruction for you in the whole process. And that's the ideal. Then a system like this really comes to the fore if you've got all your information in there and you're managing, especially project management. That's another interesting bit that where you can go to. That's why I added those two as the next steps, because all of the power that you're getting from there. Because once you've got your, let's say you're manufacturing or you're making whatever product you're doing, like aerospace engines or whatever you're doing. Once you've got a project plan for a certain one, you can copy and paste. You can say new from. So you can have your whole project plan there that's linked to all the resources that you manage in ARAS, and you can say new from. I've made for a CNC shop, easy example, you make similar parts, or tool shop, you're manufacturing similar tools. So you say, right, I've done one, now I'll copy and paste this, a new from project plan. And you change the applicable bits. There's longer design time, there's longer machining time, add a few machining processes in there, but you've got a basics. You've got a project template we can start from. And yeah.
And now this project template is right within ARAS.
Yeah, it's part of the free package. It's part of the standard package. So what ARAS does, they've got lots of modules, and they make, let's say, half of them available as free software. If you pay the subscription, then you get some additional capabilities. A nice one of the nice products that we unfortunately haven't got access to if you don't pay subscription is a social collaboration tool. We can actually, it's like a WhatsApp or whatever for project data. But project management and process management is part of the free package that you get. And yeah, that's it. It's included.
That's excellent because it's directly integrated. It's not like just a standard.
Yeah, that's the thing. You see, if you look at these things from the box, it's perhaps not as good as MS Project. I can't really compare, but it's not perhaps as good. But you've got that integration capability, and that's really what's making the difference. Because now you can start managing your resources and track a project. You've got real life tracking of a project basically. Because you can allocate all the tasks and you can allocate resources to those tasks, and then have a live update. And you can have dashboards, etc.
Yeah. Sorry, Riaan, I think Johan might have had a question. I see him unmuted. Hi, Johan. Sorry.
Sorry,
Yes.
This is Johan de Toy. Thank you for your input and spending your afternoon with us. It's appreciated. A quick question. You said you import your CAD data. Is the CAD file controlled by ARAS? Is it an over-the-wall transaction, or is that CAD file locked by ARAS?
It may be, and there's different options. ARAS is quite a flexible system, but you can get CAD integration products. So you can, I know within Inventor, there's two options. They say the one is you can have what they do, they manage the vault, the Inventor vault basically. So you add in Inventor, you add your data, you save your data into the vault, and the rest takes it from the vault. And that's one way that people are running, especially if they tend to have a larger suite of Autodesk software. They say it's easier because Autodesk has got such a huge environment, and all of those talk to the vault. So it's easier if you've got that huge thing to manage from the vault. But you also get integration products where you can run ARAS and access ARAS directly in Inventor without going through the vault.
Okay. You said you moved from a different PLM software tool to ARAS. What was your previous tool that you used?
We're still using it. We're using Smart Team, which is a Dassault product.
Okay, nice.
But unfortunately, it's an old system, and it's being phased out. It's a legacy product, basically. And that's what prompted the whole thing. I was starting to look for Aerosud for a new solution, and I stumbled across ARAS.
Okay.
And I've heard some people say it is a new version of Smart Team, a modern version of Smart Team, because it's all web-based. So you run through your Internet Explorer or your whatever, and you can run over the web. So it's cloud-based as well. So in that case, it's very flexible for the implementation, because you can either have it on site, so you can have your database and your vault. All the files goes into a vault as well, which is basically a set of directories on the server. So they can all go into the vault, and you can have the vault on-premise and the server on-premise, or you can have the ARAS, the database running on a host, which could be the Aerosud service, for example, and you can have your data locally, or you can have both in the cloud. It's a very flexible implementation. Of course, the cloud has got a lot of advantages, but it depends on your internet connection speed. But it's actually ideal having the vault locally. Then you don't need to transfer those big CAD files across the system. So it's an option to look at.
Riaan, I've got 2 questions. If you can maybe just elaborate a little bit more on the level of integration that you can achieve between ERP systems and manufacturing execution. And then maybe just on the subscription model, in terms of the feedback that we got from ARAS on where do they start in terms of the number of users, and how do they support the small companies or not?
Yeah. Okay, well, let's start with the last question first. ARAS unfortunately doesn't sell to smaller companies and subscription, because we've spoken to our supply in the UK, our support people, and they say they've previously had a model where they're supporting small customers, but that turned out too much of a hassle for them. So the entry-level purchasing is 50 seats. So if you've got less than 50 seats, well, you can buy it, but you have to pay the price for 50 seats. So unfortunately, that is, so it shows you that they're playing in a big league. They don't want to deal with small people. And that's where a company like us can come into it, where we can really help the people and hold their hands with a powerful piece of software. Yeah, well, the ERP system, we'll have to look at your company. So as I say, it starts with those 2 things. That's the 2 basic things that I'll recommend. And from there on, you build it. ARAS is a very open system. And what I'm thinking of doing at Aerosud actually is to run SmartTeam and ARAS in dual, run them in parallel. And ARAS is built for that dual interface. Like I said, some people are running the Vault, the Inventor Vault, and ARAS on top of that. Other people are using ARAS directly. The same with ERP systems. You can do some of it, keep it in the ERP system, and other things have taken over, like tool management. A lot of people will be doing their tool management in the ERP system. But it's also something that can be done in the ERP system. So it's various. So that part of it, we'll have to do consulting and see exactly where you are and what your needs are. It's a very flexible thing. And the interesting thing about the ARAS, which I really like, is they actually promoting the customization of their software. They say it doesn't matter how much customization you put into it, they will help you to upgrade to the next version of the software. So ARAS is actually made for customization, and it's incredibly flexible, a very powerful system.
Riaan, do you foresee that the software like ARAS disrupts the bigger players out there, like the 3D Dassaults and the Siemenses and those type of things, because they don't really cater for the small medium enterprise, and it's not affordable for the smaller companies, where we find that this is uber affordable for small companies.
Yeah, no, it is. They definitely, if you Google ARAS reviews and so on, then you'll see there's quite a few consultants that's saying, right, that's the new thing, that's busy taking it over, and it's becoming serious competition to the bigger guys. But as I say, there's a bit of a gap in the market. ARAS itself doesn't really cater for supporting smaller customers, which I see as a gap in the market for us with our PLM skills to start helping people and take them to the next level of, or take them away from document management into PLM, or from PDM, or that whole thing, product data management, which was basically centric around data. But now we're going to the next step, which is the digital twin and the digital thread, the PLM type capabilities. So yeah, no, I think it will be. And the big thing, and the nice thing about ARAS as well is that it's got a monthly. So we're looking at eventually going for a monthly subscription for our customers as well. Tell them to pay us, we don't know how much yet, but a few £1,000 a month, and we'll spread the implementation cost over a period. Where the big ones, you'll need a big capex. So you'll need to, depending how big your implementation is, but spend a few £100,000 upfront and go for a loan, etc. But with ARAS, you can then do it as part of your operating cost and have a smaller fee. But that fee will also depend on how much you want. It's also the idea, our idea basically is to start with document management and to help companies grow into the larger part of it. So the big pain is the document management. That's a pain that we need to take away and that we need to solve, especially document management of the downstream data, of the manufacturing data. Get that under control. And then go for the digital twin of your part, and then depending on where your biggest pains are, where the big advantage, the low-hanging fruit, go for the low-hanging fruit, which may be, well, process planning, project management, or quality management. Actually, change process would actually fall into the first two, especially with document management. We'll really add change management in that document management at the same time.
Yeah, so what I hear you say is the way the value proposition for the small, medium enterprises is really having world-class services and a world-class product, but not having to employ or scale in terms of resources and capabilities within your business. It's a pay-per-use type service environment.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the thing is our PLM expertise, because a lot of companies, even some of the local agents of, let's say, Autodesk and so on, they don't really know necessarily the mechanical PLM environment. They may have a construction type experience, but the mechanical area is a skill that's lacking. I think that's worldwide actually as well.
Yeah, I think I can maybe add on to that. I mean, the Riaan and his team at Aerosud OCTi is only 13 people, and combined they got over 170 years worth of experience in terms of manufacturing, industrial process automation, PLM, manufacturing execution. So, I mean, and that's an impressive number for such a small group of people. And I know Riaan and his colleague is probably the foremost support guys in terms of 3D Dassault in South Africa. I mean, even 3D Dassault themselves cannot provide the level of service that they can.
Yeah, Dassault has been changing their focus a little bit recently. They're going for the 3D experience platform, which is quite an impressive platform, but not ideally suited to a smaller company. And we're basically looking for this for our suppliers as well. That was also prompted us, because a lot of our suppliers has got the same problems, and they're not really able. They've tried their best to get document management going, and they set up procedures and they set up ways of working, but they're lacking the software to really get the full control that they need. So at the moment, I'm busy looking at taking one of our suppliers and take them through the process, and then we'll have a reference account. And so it's still early days here as well. We're still building the system and making it a robust system.
Okay, so what I hear you say as well is that you can also assist with the business process modeling as well, you know, where people don't necessarily know what best practices and industry standards are in terms of PLM. You can also assist in terms of that.
Yeah, no, it is. It's got some change processes built into it as well, standard ECOs and ECNs and ECRs, and you can easily to adapt any of those processes to your own needs.
Well, good. I think we're nearing the end of the session. I would like to allow anyone else to, if they have any questions or comments. everyone seems informed. Okay, so just as a note, I mean, this is one of many sessions that will be held on this platform. The session was recorded, and I will make sure that everyone receives a notification once it's published on the 4ir.co.za website. And you're more than welcome to forward it to anyone else if they want to listen. And our contact details are on the website as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed the session, and I hope it was informative. And if there's any comments, please feel free to contact us on the website to make suggestions where we can improve.